Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews, and today we are back with another review of a new Passion Charger model, and this time we've got another gorgeous sauropod as we are taking a look at the Argentinosaurus. And that is definitely a really nice figure to have, a nice species choice, because there honestly aren't too many models of this species, mostly because it is so large. Not too many people want to take a chance on something like this. Now, this version here is not actually 1/35th scale. Most times with Passion Charger, what you would possibly be able to acquire would be a 1/35th scale version, and I think 1/18th is the other size range that he usually deals with. This one here, I think, is 1/72nd scale, if I am correct. So it's definitely a lot smaller than it would have been if it were the 1/35th scale version, but still really excited to have it. By the time I got around to actually trying to get a hold of this one, the 1/35th scale size range was sold out. So, and I don't think they're doing 1/18th for a sauropod like this. It would just be ridiculously huge. So I was pretty much left with only being able to acquire 1/72nd scale. And again, the model overall looks really nice for sure. I love everything about what I'm seeing here with the nice walking pose for our sauropod. We also have a younger version down there kind of walking along what I would assume is the mother. On top of that, we also have an alternate head. So as you can see, you can replace the head that's on there with this head, and you basically have a closed mouth version on it currently. If you look back there, that is a closed mouth version for our sauropod. Again, there's also the open mouth version, and they connect with a magnet. So you can actually paint both versions up if you want, and then kind of switch it out if that's what makes you happy. I don't know if I'm going to do that. I kind of see, to do that though, one thing that is a little bit of an issue is, if I bring this nice and close here, you can see there's going to be a seam where the head connects. Now, obviously, there's no way to escape that if you're going to have a removable head or a head that you can switch out. You know, obviously, if you look back to the W. Dragon Tyrannosaurus, who did the same thing, you have the seam on that one as well. So you're going to have a seam, which means I'm not entirely sure if I'm going to use both heads. I kind of feel like I might want to paint them up and then use them both, but I also at the same time really prefer the closed mouth version, so I could just paint it up this way and then of course seal the seam and stuff. I'm not too sure what I'm going to do quite yet, but what I do know is we're going to go ahead and jump to a closer look at this and take a look at it from there. So starting up here at the head sculpt of our Argentinosaurus, you can see it looks really quite nice. You've got a gorgeous, majestic look on the head sculpt of this version, and you can see again the mouth is closed. The dinosaur's just kind of walking along. Really nice detailing in the face here. You can see like nice creasing and wrinkling right there. As you move back toward the mouth, you can also see the nostrils, the eye, everything sculpted really nicely. As I said, it connects with a magnet, so you just have to push that little peg in there and then place it correctly. I think I have it correct right there. But again, the dinosaur's head just basically sits in there. But like I said, you then have that seam, and I kind of feel like, I mean, you might be able to carve it out actually if you did a little work in there to kind of place that a little bit smoother. I'm not positive. Maybe I'll go that route, but I'm really unsure. I'm just like completely undecided as far as this head sculpt thing goes quite yet. Probably just going to fill the seams and keep this head. But as you move back into the neck, you can see all sorts of kind of like bumpy scales picking up, as well as much finer scaling. You'll also see a good bit of creasing, especially because the dinosaur's head is turning toward us. So that turn in the neck, especially with such a long neck, is definitely going to cause some wrinkling and creasing in the skin. As you move down here, you can see the throat running along the underside of our dinosaur. And then as you continue to move along the side of the sauropod, you can see how really beautiful and how really crisp that scale detail is, as well as just the skin texture, like the creasing. Everything looks really nice, really high quality, and considering it's a Passion Charger release, I would never expect any less. Passion Charger is responsible for some of the best models that I have in my collection. But as you continue to run along through the course of the neck, and obviously you see the neck increase in size, you'll also notice again that the bumpy scales are pretty much everywhere. The dinosaur is absolutely loaded with these bumpy kind of like osteoderms moving through the course of not just the neck, but pretty much the entire body. As you lead down here, you're obviously going to see a seam where the neck was connected. I have not filled the seams quite yet, We'll, of course, do that when I finish the model, but you can see the throat again here running along the underside. Really nice. As you lead down, you've got all kinds of really beautiful skin detail leading into the chest of our sauropod. You can also see the shoulder blade there protruding from the skin a little bit, but by no means is it looking shrink wrapped. You can also see the hip bone back here. Again, also just kind of showing the movement as that leg picks up. It's kind of pushing the hip there out of the skin, and well, not out of the skin, but within the skin there, and you can see that. And like I said, you can see the bumpy scales or bumpy osteoderms, I don't know how you want to term them, but all over the place. The dinosaur is absolutely overloaded with them, and my camera's not focusing. There we go. But it is overloaded with these very bumpy osteoderms and stuff. You can also see the small ridges moving along the back start to pick up and become a good bit larger as you move down. Not a whole lot larger, but you can see they're now more like a spike sort of appearance, and you have some pick up here over the hip region leading back into the tail as well. Same deal on the other side. But if you come back here to the front leg, you can see some really nice skin detail here leading down into the leg. Again, the seam, because I have not filled those yet, basically showing you how the model would come pretty much out of the packaging and glued together. Leading down, you can see how really nice the legs look here from the front, again showing the walking motion. You've got the nail there sticking off of the foot, if it would focus. There you go. You can see the toes of the dinosaur really nicely sculpted, the wrist and everything. The really beautiful skin detail moving down, creasing in the joint of the elbow itself back there. And then as you move back into the stomach, again, tons and tons of skin detail, all sorts of skin wrinkles here leading back, kind of almost like saggy skin in the stomach of the dinosaur. And then as you lead back here, you can pick out the muscle definition in the thigh, the calf muscle as well. Again, the other area where the leg was connected. And then you can also see how the toes are picking up off of the ground as the dinosaur is taking a step. You've got the toes sculpted out, you've got the nails sculpted out. Everything looks as high quality as it gets for a sauropod. Then leading back up here, again, you've got some more creasing and everything back in the back here of the tail. You've got the seam again, because I have not filled it, like I stated a few times now. And then you lead out here into the length of the tail. And again, just as we turn it right here, like, look at the really nice skin detail there as the light hits it. It just is so realistic when it comes to Passion Charger's sculpts continuously. You've also got a really nice curve in the tail as it leads down and then leads back up and then twists away from us. And you can also see another area where the tail was connected. But you've got some really nice length for the tail here as you move out, which you can see from up above. And again, all of those bumpy scales and bumpy osteoderms moving the entire way out. If you lead along the underside, you're going to see a very nice, very fine skin texture down here, a bit different than what you saw on the upper side of the dinosaur. You can also see the cloaca present. The undersides of the feet really nicely sculpted, nice big belly for our dinosaur as well. Definitely a very healthy Argentinosaurus. And then when we come back up here, you can again see the head sculpt here. You can also see how the neck is now turning away from us, which is going to show you, I think, a little bit more stretching of the skin rather than creasing like we saw on the initial side. As you move down, you can see how this leg is currently, again, in the process of taking a step. You can see all of the tensing and like the muscle definition here as the dinosaur is walking and kind of flexing. That's very nice, very fine attention to detail that I really like. And also you can see how the skin is kind of bunching together because both legs are sort of pushing into the stomach. You'll also notice that back here in the thigh, the leg is super tensed because with this foot picking up off of the ground, this leg is currently bearing a whole lot of weight from the dinosaur right there, so it would definitely be doing exactly that. Again, if you look at it even from up above, look at how much girth there is in the stomach to this Argentinosaurus, and you can see all of the skin kind of bunching up here as that leg takes a step forward. Wherever this Argentinosaurus is currently residing, it's clearly very, I guess you could say, fruitful when it comes to the vegetation. It's definitely got a whole lot of healthy vegetation in its area where it clearly has been feeding significantly. And then you lead out and you can again see all sorts of skin detail as you lead out through the length of the tail, which now curves in our direction. So I'm really excited to get some paintwork on this one. You know, I feel like it looks beautiful right now, but you're probably not going to be able to truly tell how beautiful until we get paintwork on it. And that's always the same case, I feel, for any model like this, any model kit. And then of course we also have the baby. The baby does have his little mouth open. Another reason why I actually feel like I want the closed mouth version on mine, because I kind of wanted a little bit of difference here between the mother and the baby. It almost feels like the baby's letting out some sort of a vocalization kind of aiming that toward the mother, maybe like telling it to slow down or something, because the footsteps that mother is taking are going to be vastly larger than what our little baby is taking. But you can see the tongue sticking up there on the inside of the mouth, and again you've also got ridges moving along the back, as well as kind of like lines of them moving along the side, so you can see a little difference between the way the adult appears compared to the way that the baby appears, and how the dinosaur would, again, basically transform as it gets older. You can also see all of the baby-like proportions, like a fairly large head and everything, and the way that the neck is shaped looks very baby-like. You've also got the tail sculpted out, nice curvatures to the tail as you lead out. Again, I really like the positioning of the legs as well. It really meshes well with the fact that the mouth is open and it looks like it's letting out a vocalization, because it really does kind of look like the baby's trying to pick up some serious speed to keep up with its parent, and you can really see that in the positioning of the legs and how it's kind of almost just running along, following its mother. And then we have the opposing side. And another thing that really tells that story, I think, is the fact that the dinosaur's head is turned toward its right, and in the diorama, it's standing to its mother's left, and the head is kind of tilted toward its mother, like it's basically trying to yell and say, hey, please, slow down, I need to keep up with you. Or maybe there's something nearby. Maybe there's a predator kind of approaching, and it's very scared and kind of trying to catch up with its mother. One way or another, the two are very clearly communicating, and it's even more evident when you actually look at the parent, because you can see the parent is turning its head and kind of tilting its head, sort of making it look like it's almost looking down either at its baby or, again, maybe some kind of predator nearby. And then you've also got a really nice base here, and the base, of course, sports some beautiful detail within. You've got the footprints showing up here and there as you move through the course of the model. Again, you can see really nice fine detail. There's some kind of like fuzz or something on it though, but you can see really nice fine detail, all sorts of really nice earthy textures to the base as you move through. And one thing that's really cool is as you move through, you'll notice things like the skull right here that is kind of almost like semi-buried at this point, which I would imagine maybe at some point was a casualty from this sauropod, and maybe it defending its baby or just something along those lines. Maybe some other sauropod in the group, because I would imagine the Argentinosaurus wouldn't be traveling entirely alone. So, I mean, maybe a different Argentinosaurus has done this, but regardless, there is a really cool little skull and stuff. Like, I just love minor things like that you may not even notice right away. And really, really cool little additions like that, I think, increase the realism of a model drastically. But the base looks really nice, so of course we are at that point where I need to get this all painted up and everything, and then we will, of course, check it out from there when it's done. Okay, so I've got my model painted, and you're gonna have to bear with me because I went a little crazy on this one when it comes to the colors. So here is what I did with my version of the Argentinosaurus. There we go. Let's see if the camera decides to focus on it. So I definitely went a little bit crazy when it comes to the patterning and stuff. I don't know what it is about this color scheme. It just randomly came to me the other day, and I thought it would be pretty cool to kind of give this almost like a slight zebra kind of look, like with striping and patterning and stuff like that, but with like some blues up on the top. And I was recently even stating in my Mamenchisaurus review, I'm like, I don't know how good blue's going to look on a sauropod. And then randomly, I just decided to go with this color scheme. And again, I'm at the point where I'm not entirely positive if I really, really like it or I'm not too keen on it. I'm kind of debating on maybe repainting it at some point, but again, I kind of like it at the same time. It also took a very long time to paint up and give this coloration to, but again, once you actually get it painted, you can see how absolutely phenomenal the model is when it comes to the sculpt and detail. And again, you'll see the same thing as you move through the course of the model itself. I've really tried to highlight all of the skin texture and scale detail on it and everything, and just bring everything out in the most realistic way possible, while definitely giving it a very flashy look, far more flashy than I think I've ever given any sauropod model that I've ever painted in the past. And for some reason I chose to give this coloration to one of the largest dinosaurs to ever exist. But again, it, in my opinion, does look pretty cool, but it's just maybe a little too flashy for a sauropod. I don't know. I mean, at the same time, I it's kind of growing on me. As I was finishing it, I was like having such mixed feelings. At certain points, I'm looking at it and I'm like, okay, it does look really, really cool. And then at other points, I'm like, I don't know how natural it looks. So I think at this point, I'm going to rely on you guys to tell me if it looks good or not, and if you think it looks realistic potentially, or if maybe it's just a little bit too flashy. Far and away one of the best sauropods that I have in my collection. And then of course we also have the baby, and I tried to give the baby something simplistic enough that it looked like it could be sort of like a coloration that maybe the baby could have, because I wanted it to have kind of dark colors for the most part, because I feel like, you know, babies would probably have darker tones to them just because it would help them to hide and not be seen so easily, especially when it comes to baby sauropods, because I feel like even though they're going to have adults around them, adults are really going to draw in the attention of other dinosaurs, and, you know, babies are going to be easily caught and killed. So I figured maybe darker colors would be best for a baby sauropod, but at the same time I wanted to give it a little bit of lighter tones again, like a little bit of flashiness here coming from the underside that would sort of replicate what maybe could be the start of the transformation of colors from this into what we see in the adult. This one also has its mouth open compared to what the adult has, but again, an absolutely gorgeous, gorgeous sculpt. Even the baby is fantastic. And then, of course, we have the base. And the base I didn't really do anything, you know, super flashy with, just basically gave it a nice natural, or at least to my best of my ability, natural looking coloration and paint scheme and paint application. And I did paint out like the bones and everything here, and I tried to make it look like the bones are kind of just basically hidden, like you almost wouldn't even notice them if you were walking by, because like this skull has been just kind of sitting here for an extended period of time, it seems, as it's very disfigured and just kind of like pressing down into the dirt, maybe a potential fossil one day. But I really wanted to try to give this, again, a natural looking paint application and color scheme with, again, of course, not going too flashy for anything like this. So hopefully the base as well turned out pretty decent. It is extremely, extremely highly detailed. So let's go ahead and check out everything put together, because I have not done that yet. So there is our Passion Charger Argentinosaurus now on the base with its baby walking by, and you can see it does look pretty darn cool. This color scheme that I've given it is definitely starting to grow on me. And I did little things, like sometimes I'll do really, really little things to my models that maybe only I would even catch. And something I kind of wanted to point out with the closer look, and I totally forgot about it, was I added a little extra gloss coat to the right eye of the dinosaur, and kind of took some of the gloss coat down into the eye socket a little bit, and gave it a look like maybe it has an eye infection. I don't know why. Little things like that, little details like that, always, you know, I just get a kick out of that kind of stuff, because it's really minor, little bits of realism that I think I enjoy, you know, most about different dinosaur models. So I just wanted to add something on my own. I really didn't even need to point that out to you guys. I don't know, I just felt compelled to tell you. But as far as the size goes, for a length, you are looking at about 16¼ inches, or around 41½ centimeters. And then for a height, about 9 inches, or around 23 centimeters. Of course, this is for the adult, but for a size comparison, there is Mr. Papo T-Rex, the Attack Pack Colovosaurus, Robert Muldoon, and the Collect A Human Being next to our Passion Charger 1/72nd scale Argentinosaurus. And you can see, again, even at 1/72nd scale, it's really big. Like, it's not gigantic, but it definitely still has a very impressive size overall. Then for a fairly similarly sized sauropod model, we have the Howlong-Good Ampulosaurus here next to the Passion Charger Argentinosaurus. And you can see, even though they're positioned a little bit differently, and obviously the Argentinosaurus is going to be a bit taller, they're kind of similar in size, especially when it comes to the body. We also have the Mojo Fun Mamenchisaurus, which you can see is a little bit smaller than we have for our Argentinosaurus. And then one final size comparison, we have the Papobrachiosaurus, which is probably one of the most popular sauropod models of all time, next to our Passion Charger Argentinosaurus, just to show you that Papobrachiosaurus is definitely a good bit larger. So this Passion Charger Argentinosaurus is absolutely gorgeous, as every Passion Charger model always is. Again, this is another one of those models where you could have acquired it in 1/35th scale. Initially, this was, available in that scale. I don't know for sure if it is still available in that scale anymore, but you do, of course, have the opportunity to purchase it in 1/72nd scale, which is what I have here. And I feel like this size is very nice and convenient for anybody looking to get one of these into their collection. And maybe they've got too many dinos, they don't really have room for a massive sauropod model. This scale range, this size range is definitely a really nice one. But overall, I think the sculpt of this is absolutely fantastic. It is extremely highly detailed, like every Passion Charger model really is. And of course, you have a very nice walking pose. And I love the fact that the adult looks like it's kind of like curving the head down to look down at the baby to see maybe what's going on with the baby. The baby has its mouth open, clearly kind of expressing something to the mother. And again, it looks like the two are just kind of like either conversing, or maybe the mother again is like suspecting something's maybe wrong with the baby, and maybe it's about to kind of lean down and try to find out what's going on. But one way or another, it is a really nice, very realistic scene created by Passion Charger. The baby again is equally as beautiful, honestly, as the adult is, and together they do really create one beautiful scene. You've also got a really nice base on top of everything, and I love the subtle additions to that one, like the bones, like the skull and stuff that you have down there on the base. I really, really like that small addition, just almost like a little Easter egg on the model again. Just a really, really nice touch. So overall, this is an absolutely gorgeous model, and as per usual, one that I highly recommend picking up. So if you are interested in doing just that, I will include a link in the description to where you can contact Passion Charger on Facebook, and if you do not have social media, you can contact me, and I can contact them for you to help you get a hold of one of these. And of course, as always, let me know what you think of the model, and of course my paint job, and like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.